What is going on? Money Paradise, back with another video. How are y'all doing today? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to jump into this video real quick. I'm going to really try to just get to the point. I have been lacking on working on my journaling as of late. It's been a few months since I last journaled, but this morning I got up early. Did some light stretching, did some body weight exercises to just get the blood flowing, and I finally got to journal. Set aside some time to do that. Shout out to WatersaboveCrypto for this method of journaling. I have been following him for quite a while. He has like this expansion mastermind program that he offers, and within that program he has these accountability journaling prompts throughout that program, where it kind of makes you really take a deep dive into yourself and really focus on things that you want to work on. And for me, in my experience with this program, I've definitely been able to do those things, address a lot of past situations where I didn't think I was doing anything necessarily wrong, but definitely things that I could improve upon in my own life, and it really has helped. When I've been consistent with the journaling, it has really helped. So I'm taking today to kind of bring myself back to that kind of routine. And when I put pen to paper on this one today, the information, the download that I got from it was amazing, and it was enlightening, to be honest. So I'm just gonna go over these things with you, and I'm kind of just gonna provide some insight into where my head was at with this line of questioning, as well as where I was at in a I guess past life, but not like a past life, lifetime, more like before I guess before I was awoken to a lot of things. It was a while back, so I was a different Cody, a different person entirely, back then. So I'm going to jump right into these questions, and then I'm just going to break it down for you. So 3 questions. Name a situation where externalized belief, I didn't write this down right. Basically, name a situation where you had externalized belief, and what made you realize it. I'm sure I wrote that down, but I didn't write it down properly. I'm sure I read it properly, but I didn't write it down properly. Yeah. Question 2. When was a time that you decided to go against your intuition? And finally, question 3. What was the consequence of not listening to your intuition, and what did you take away from that experience? So when I wrote those questions down, I just wrote them out, all 3 of them, and then I was going to address each one down the line. But what ended up happening was all the answers to each question just came flooding into my mind all at the same time, and then I just started writing. And I stopped at one point because I was like, this is a good video. I could just do it in real time in front of a camera and kind of show you my thought process, as it's happening, right? So I wrote a little bit, but not everything was explained in these answers. So the quick answer to question 1 is that I believed at one point in my friendships that were not necessarily beneficial to me, and were in very much were very much toxic friendships. But I ignored the realities of my life at that time. I ignored the realities of those friendships at that time. And as I will kind of detail for you, it really was not a good time in my life back then. This was, I mean, let's see, time frame wise, it's like 2008 to 2011, 12 maybe. So that's a pretty decent time frame of my life where things were not going good for me in a lot of different ways. So let me continue. What made me realize all of that, though, was at the tail end of that time frame when I met my future wife, Jess. She was quite literally a breath of fresh air in my life. She just showed me that not everyone in the world was like who I was accustomed to dealing with or being friends with or whatever, you know? And from that point on, I began the process of really looking at my friendships and my relationships and starting to realize that I wasn't doing as well as I thought I was doing in my life. I thought I had a lot of things figured out during that time, but in reality, it was quite the opposite. So let me talk about question 2. So when was a time that you decided to go against your intuition? This is a very specific story, and I will do my best to not make this an hour-long video. No guarantees with me, of course, you know, because you know how I go on about things. But I can't remember exactly when this happened, but again, it was in that time frame. Let's see. At the time, I was, I think 2009, 2010. I was unemployed. I was looking for work, but not necessarily looking for anything specific, you know. It was like, just find me a job, you know, like whatever I can get. But I didn't have a plan for what to do in my life, for what to do with the money. It was a simple matter of paying for my cell phone bill, paying for my living expenses, and paying for something that ended up being such a pain in the ass in my life, and it expanded into other parts of my life that if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't make those choices. So a friend of mine, at the time, we're no longer friends, but at the time we were very good friends, and we spent a lot of time with each other, and we were very much involved in I guess like working on cars and just being gearheads in general, you know, just souping up cars, modifying them, whatever. And so us and a small group of mutual friends kind of half-assedly kind of agreed to create a car club. And the basis of this car club was that we were focusing on early 1970s muscle cars. Like that was going to be the framework of what our car club was based upon. Big, bulky, Detroit steel kind of cars. Kind of based around, if you've ever seen the movie Death Proof, that was actually the name of the car club, actually, Death Proof Car Club. And yeah, we wanted some very grandiose things to happen within that car club and within our lives, and it was all centered around that. For me especially, it was completely centered around all that. And for my friend at the time, I considered him my best friend at the time. He was the one running it, and he wanted everyone else to be 100% committed to it, and I, not having a job at the time, not really having any direction in my life at the time, it gave me something to focus on. It gave me something to really lean into and pour myself into it, And so from that point on, that's what I did. Even though I definitely didn't have any money coming in to kind of provide for that lifestyle, that life choice, an opportunity came up where my friend found me a car. It was a car that I had expressed that I could see myself having, could see myself driving as part of this car club. It was a 1971 Ford Maverick, and he found one for very cheap. The problem with that, though, was that it was in, I don't remember the town, but it was basically miles away from the Mexico border, just south of San Diego. It wasn't TJ, it was a much smaller little town. And so we had to drive all the way from Fresno down south to get the car. And we had friends that lived close to the border there, actually, so we stayed with them to get this car. But I, again, was unemployed. I didn't have any money at the time. I did have a car. It wasn't a muscle car. It wasn't a 70s muscle car. It wasn't worth much. So the plan was for me to sell my car, take the money that I got from that sale, and then buy the Maverick with the money I made from selling my running car. And in that moment, my intuition was telling me, this is wrong. This doesn't make sense. You have a running car, and you're going to sell it for a car that definitely doesn't run, that definitely needs work, and you, again, don't have the money to do the work to get it to where you need it to be for it to be an actual running car. And so in that moment, I ignored my intuition and I allowed it to happen because I only wanted to make this car club thing happen for my friends, for myself. Like, that's all I cared about. I wasn't thinking about the realities of my life, like I'm living with my mother, I don't have a job, I'm not bringing in any money, I don't have any prospects going on in my life, I have no skills, like all these things going against me, and I'm choosing to do this thing without any consideration for my realities, you know what I mean? Like, when was I gonna move out of my mother's house? When was I gonna get a job? When was I gonna be independent and actually have a plan for my life, Like, when was I gonna do all those things? And I wasn't even thinking about those things. I was just thinking about making my friends happy, being loyal to them, doing what they wanted, being a part of what they wanted, and not even thinking about what I wanted, and I definitely got lost in the sauce and all that. So that was a moment where I definitely went against my intuition. I went against my gut instinct on that. And if I could do it all over again, I would have said no. Like, this is stupid. I need to be able to like, hold down a job. And right now I have a running car, so I can go to that job. And then I could save up the money to buy a muscle car, and maybe save up enough money to buy a running muscle car so that I don't have to spend more money to get it up and running. But what ended up happening as part of that transaction was that we didn't get the car running when we were down south. We had to tow it back up to Fresno, and that was a pain in the ass in of itself because, again, didn't have any money. So I spent what little I had to get the car back to Fresno, but again, I was broke. And then not having a job, like once I started working, because I didn't have a running car, I had to take the bus to work, which is not like, there's nothing against, I have nothing against that, you know what I mean? But it made things more difficult for me. Like I had to get up earlier. I had to account for the time it would take for me to ride the bus to get to work. I had to account for all those things, you know what I mean? And again, it was like, I don't have any money, so like I'm struggling for like the first 3 weeks before my first paycheck. And even when I first got paid with that job, it got absorbed. A lot of the money I made from the job was all going to my car, to keep it running, to get it running, to get it running legit, you know, like get it registered. I didn't have to worry about smog because it was an older car, but still, it took a lot of money to work on and replace old rusty parts and all that. So it was not worth it to go forward in that way of thinking, that I was going to be part of this car club and things were going to go perfect and we were going to make it everything that we dreamed it was going to be, but it never did, you know. It never did, guys. So along with that car situation, again, I wasn't in the best place in my life. So I was drinking a lot. I wasn't eating well. I wasn't sleeping well. I was wrapped up in these friendships that were so toxic, and their lives, I was wrapped up in their lives too. Like the drama in their individual lives, I was involving myself in when I had no business being in their business, you know what I mean? Like I just found myself in their situations because, again, if you don't have a car and if you don't have a ride, now you're bumming rides everywhere. And if you're bumming rides with your best friend and he's having a rocky relationship with his, you know, lady, and you're in the back seat just trying not to listen to it or pay attention to it, but you can't help it because you're there. If that happens enough times, all of a sudden now you're involved, you know? And again, it's like you're drinking to get drunk. You're not drinking to enjoy time with your friends, you know what I mean? You're eating shit food all the time because that's all you can afford, and you don't have the means to cook any fresh meals or anything like that, you know? So it just all compounded on itself, you know? All these things that were going against me. It was a very, very much a dark time in my life, you know, and I just couldn't see it. I couldn't see how effed I was in my life. I thought I had everything figured out, and it was like, dude, the reality, like, come on, man, you can't see it. You can't see how shit your life is right now, how shit your friendships are right now. Like, it was I was so blind by it all, you know, and it was all because of those initial choices that kept me stuck in that lifestyle for a very long time. Let's see. Yeah, I was definitely stuck in my own self-image of what I thought of who I thought I was. You know, I thought I was this like badass car, enthusiast, gearhead, badass dude. You know what I mean? It was like, dude, you're not even close. You don't have shit figured out. You don't have the slightest idea what you're doing. You know what I mean? You're just going off of what everyone else is telling you. And I found myself just being the third wheel in a lot of situations, the sidekick in a lot of situations. I was never really saw myself as in control of my own life, to be like the leader of my own life. I was just a follower of what other people were doing, and it left me with very few options. And the easiest option at the time was just 100% believe in what I'm doing right now, even if it's not going to produce anything of value to myself or the people around me. It was more trouble than it was worth. But I didn't have any other options. I didn't see anything outside of what was going on in order to really realize where I was in my life. And it was just a shit situation, those 3 to 5 years. Let's see. What else did I write down here? Buying that car, not a good choice. Being in those friendships, just ended up being that way. My health suffered, my relationships suffered, my mental state was jacked up. Again, I was wrapped up in my self-image of who I thought I was, even though it was totally wrong. But also, I was wrapped around the perception of what my friends thought of me. I thought, if I can be reliable, dependable, if I can just be that I guess sidekick, you know what I mean? That dependable sidekick, then I would have value in their world, those friends' world. But again, all throughout that time, I was drinking myself stupid. I was getting caught up in people's drama, you know what I mean? And I didn't have anything else going on, really. I didn't have a life of my own, an individual life. My life revolved around these people's lives because I had no other options. I didn't see any other options. I was blind to it all. I was blind to the possibilities around me back then, for sure. So in saying all that, I'm kind of going into the third question, which was what were the consequences of not listening to your intuition, and what did I take away from all that? And so that's kind of what I was talking about. It's like the consequences of those decisions of going against my intuition was that my life was shit. I was just drinking myself into an early grave, not really realizing that that's what my dad did. He did the same shit. I just didn't see it, and I didn't care. I just didn't care. I just cared about one thing, and that was being a part of those friends' lives and making their dreams come true, making their goals achievable, without having anything of my own, and the thing that I realized the most was that when I started dating Jess, was that they turned on me, those friends. They initially, especially the person that was, I thought, my best friend, he stopped all communication for a while. It was a weird time. And it was all based around the fact that all of a sudden now I have a life. All of a sudden now I have things going on outside of these friends' lives. And because of how toxic those friendships were, they were gonna give me the cold shoulder, and now they weren't there for me at that point, you know? And it sucked. It hurt a lot to have your friends abandon you, that you thought, like, they're my ride or die friends. Like, why would they do that? It's like, dude, so what? I have a girlfriend. I have a job now. I'm getting my shit together. Like, you're not happy for me. You're not wanting that for me, you know? You just want me to be the reliable sidekick. So yeah, that's when I started realizing, like, how shit my friendships were, how crap my relationships were. And again, it was in meeting Jess that a lot of things were brought to light, you know? And it wasn't because of her introducing those things to me. She tried her very best to be a part of my world at the time, and she didn't have to. I never asked her to do that, you know, but the problem with me the most at that time was my I guess my deepest desire for the longest time has been to walk into an environment where there's a bonfire or there's a banquet table, and it's surrounded by all my friends, all my close family, you know what I mean? And they're all having a good time with each other. They're all laughing, they're joking, enjoying each other's company, and I'm just enjoying it. You know, I'm just looking out, I'm zoomed out, and I'm just like, this is my life, and I love it, you know? Like, that's been my deepest desire for the longest time. It still very much is. But again, I was blind to the realities of those friendships back then. I was definitely seeing those relationships with rose-tinted glasses, for sure. And I don't regret very much about what happened, because it took all of those things happening to get me to a point to where I had to release those friendships. I mean, once me and Jess got married, a lot of those friendships just naturally dropped off. You could definitely say that the trash kind of took itself out at that moment, you know? And I'm grateful for that, because I didn't want to continue living that way after I got married. I just wanted to start a new life. I wanted to create something with Jess that was our own, that was something of our creation, our making, you know, and not attached to anyone else, not attached to anyone else's dream. We wanted to have our own dream and our own way forward, our own path. And in a lot of ways we have done that, and it has been lonely, you know, not having as many friends as I used to. Sometimes it's gotten I don't know, I've gotten lonely about those friendships. I don't know how else to put it. Like, there have been a couple of friendships that I've honestly mourned, like the death of a friend, the death of a relative, you know. It's like you mourn those friendships sometimes, and sometimes you miss them. Sometimes you miss the good times. But the times that I've gotten into those headspaces, I guess, in thinking of those friendships and reminiscing about the good times, they're quickly replaced by the realities of what those friendships were, and they just weren't healthy. And there's no way that I could ever go back to those friendships and come back to those friendships as who I am now. It would not be accepted. It would not be welcomed. And so I would be wasting my time in pursuing any future reconciliation with those individuals. You know, a lot of times I think it would be best if I stayed away. It would be best if I stayed away for myself and my family instead of bringing my family back into that world. Like, why would I do that when I have everything I need here with them? And in wanting to reminisce about those friendships, it's like, it's okay to have some nostalgia about it, but you can't dwell on that. You can't dwell on that nostalgia and that old way of thinking and old life. It was a past life that I'm not going to return to, you know what I mean? So it's in this journaling, when all this started kind of downloading back into me, it's like I astral projected back to that old life, and it sucked. I felt like I had an extra 200 pounds on me, but not like a weight. It felt like I was 200 pounds heavier than I am now, if that makes any sense. And it's like, you're uncomfortable, you feel gross, you feel not well, and you look around and you're like, this is as good as it's gonna get. It's not gonna get better. And so, yeah, it's very easy for me now to just jump back to this reality, my current reality, and say, yeah, I don't need to go back. I don't need to rehash things out with these people. They have their own lives, and they can live them how they want. And I'm not going to change them. I don't need to change anything. I have the life that I want now, and I have the people in my life that I want now. I've surrounded myself with the people that I want now. And so in having these thoughts, it's made me very grateful for the people in my life. It has made me grateful for the people in my life right now. All the friends that I've made in this past couple of years have been a result of my I guess red pill moment, my spiritual awakening, you know, that I had, that, you know, I've talked to you about, you know, in old videos. And that's gotta be for a reason. Like, I couldn't have made those friendships unless I got to that point to where I finally looked myself in the mirror. I finally faced my demons. I finally stared down the barrel of the gun, you know, like whatever analogy you want to make. I did it, you know, I faced my fears. I faced my death in a certain way. And I came out on the other side finally able to see, and finally able to have a plan for my life and have some sort of sense of where I want to go in my future, you know, who I want to take with me in that future that I envision for myself. So again, I am grateful for the friends I've made. I'm grateful for the relationships I have currently, because those are the people that I want to take with me into that future that I envision for myself. I want them to be with me because I want them to be successful. I want them to be happy. I want them to not, I don't want them to be caught up in any drama the way my old friendships were, you know what I mean? No drama. No drama. No bullshit. Being a friend with me, I don't want to be the drama. I don't want to be the bullshit in your life. That's not my aim, you know? And so I can honestly say that if I've talked to you in like the past couple of months, if I've texted you in the past couple of months, like, you're in that circle. You're in that circle of mine. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that to say like you're welcome or anything like that. But I just want to say thank you. You know, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for giving me your time, your energy, your insight, your perspective, your encouragement has meant everything to me during these past couple of years, and it has definitely put me in a position to really move forward at a quickened pace that I've never been able to experience in my life. I'm able to see things better. I'm able to recognize things faster. I'm able to read the terrain of what's going on in my life much better than I ever have. But it's only because of you guys, the people that are in my life, the people that communicate with me, and again, show me love and encourage me and push me to do better. You know what I mean? Like, that is something that you can't put a dollar amount on, but holy shit, if you could, you guys, I mean, you could charge whatever you want at that point. It's a blank check for the amount of money, that the amount of value that you provide in my life basically is like incalculable. And I wish I could put a number to that, but again, it's like, hey, I'm not gonna go off onto a rant on that because that could take forever. But that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about, and I'm just glad that I got it on paper. I'm glad I wrote it down. I'm glad I was able to break it down for you today and really just kind of show you where I'm at, where I am at in my life right now. And it hasn't been easy, but it has been made less difficult by the people in my life that have really helped me. And it's not lost on me, those people and what they've done for me to help me out, even if it's just a kind word. It's not lost on me that has gotten me through some tough stretches. And it's not just about like my physical health or my mental health, you know, it's just shit that I'm struggling with at the moment, you know, things that I'm like trying to grapple with, trying to like, I don't know, trying to Rubik's Cube solve. You guys have helped me. You guys have definitely helped. You guys have definitely got me through some rough patches. And I know you guys have kind hearts, and you'll continue to be of service, as I hope to be of service to you, as I hope to be of service to this community going forward. It's all about paying it forward at this point, you know? And I definitely plan on having that bonfire moment, that banquet table moment with a lot of those people. That's something on my list that I like. If I don't make vision boards, but if I did make a vision board, that would be it. Like a long, lengthy banquet table with good food, good times, good people, you know, people just laughing and enjoying each other's time. And even if it's just a one night thing, you know what I mean? It takes forever for it to happen again, or if it doesn't happen at all, if it just happens one time in any capacity, that's special to me. You know what I mean? That really is special. So I'm going to end the video here. And again, I hope this has been something of value to you. If you've gone through anything similar, like, again, like those questions that I read off, like maybe you could use those if you journal. Maybe you could use those for yourself and kind of see where you're at with some of those things. I mean, it's not mine to give. Like I said, I got this from Waters Above, and again, I'm thankful for him and his program, because yeah, it's definitely brought some things to light in my own life that I never would have thought were a problem, or you know, just some blind spots that I'm just like, yeah, I should address that. I should really focus on those things so that I can actually get to where I need to go and have the right mentality going forward to get to that place. So yeah, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on all this, and I look forward to, you know, talking with you about it. And either way, I'm gonna post this video today, Labor Day. Hope you guys have enjoyed your weekend. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you have a great, awesome week going forward, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care, guys.